it's the simplicity that really is the most attractive. It's so simple because it's not, you don't have to look for it. I mean, most of the work is not looking for it. Most of the work is, we try to look for it and it gets really hard. And there's a real sense then of, we get a sense of, oh my God, it's not from my thinking. It's not from my head trying to figure and understand this. It's actually here. And if I just bring myself to what's here, even, just bringing my hands out to my body to feel the movement that's actually right here, when the breath is coming and going, then something happens. It's like, I have a place to be. It's, and then from that place to be, that acceptance of, oh, even when I'm uncomfortable, I'm not going to lose this, that I can bring this with me talking to other people, or I can play from here, or I can explore from here, and I always have myself, my breath, me. It's me. It's actually me.
And it's tangible and immediate. Yeah. And it's really changed my teaching, because for years, as a speaking voice theater person, there was a way that I had been introduced to breath, and it was, we call it the natural breath, and then you would add voice to that, and things weren't making sense. Basically, they were confused. They didn't know what I was talking about until we got to voice. So this language, and also that it's tangible, immediate, you can feel the breath, the movement of the breath, is immediate. And so when the very first day when it's introduced, place your hands here, and there's words that come from their body and the sensation of their breath movement immediately. There's a knowledge of what I've always spoken about is that it's all in you, and what we're doing here is bringing it forward so you're conscious of it, and it's immediate now, not...
There's no right or wrong with it. It's not like there's the right breath or the right experience. It's just, and I love that there's no right, there's no right way to do it. There's no, I'm a good student, I'm a bad student. It's that there is something here, and it's me, and it's immediate, and there's not a question. There's not a doubt when you can actually, you don't doubt. And when you stop doubting, something else starts to be experienced.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
And there's an owning of it immediately. Yeah. Not, I'm going to tell you how to do this, and then you're going to explore, and then you're going to own it. Oh, I feel my breath movement. And when you think about it, the movement of the breath, that's our life. Breath is life. That's what we respond to life with. So as you become more conscious of this movement of your breath, you're more responsive to life. And certainly in the performing movement, not movement, but movement. Yeah. The performance, that's what that is being responding to the circumstances, to who you're with on stage. Every minute you're in the practice of it because we breathe every moment. And I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to speak to that in my experience of working with business people. They're always rushing. Their meetings are scheduled on the hour or on the half hour, and they're not given time to get from one meeting to the other. And then when they come into a meeting, they're concerned that if they pause, somebody else will jump in and they won't get to speak. So there's no space for them. And then they're told they speak too fast. So in all these years of working with business people, I've said, well, the pauses are the most eloquent, etc., etc. But what I witnessed was that their experience of pauses was dead space. And now, I've had so many people say this to me. They're aware of their breath moving as they're pausing. And suddenly, it's an alive moment for them. And they're aware of themselves, and therefore aware of the people that they're with. And it changes everything about the words they speak. Because of these moments, they are so filled with themselves. Because they're sensing that simple thing. They're sensing the movement of their own breath.
Which includes the sensation of the inhale the spaces in between, the exhale, the pause, yeah. And so, same thing with the students, as actors or singers, that, and most of us do that. We speak and then we stop.
Yeah.
And we speak and we stop. And so and every time we stop, we have to start again. We have to, find ourselves again, or find a thought again, or so that we don't get to they don't stay in any sense of continuation or flow or ease or participation. So when there is that sensation of the allowed breath that just is happening all the time, that we're now more and more conscious of, then there's a sense when it comes to the singing that there is an aliveness where there isn't sound. There's an aliveness that's not just the music, but it's them. So the sense of flow and momentum, and that's where ease starts to show up. And it's not just in performing. It's that in our day-to-day life, in walking and sitting and talking, that we are there, participating in it. I love that word, participating. That it's not something we do, it's not something we have to think about, it's something that is in the sensation of ourselves. Always, and it's just a simple matter of, and so the practice becomes something that is all the time. It's wonderful to come to a class because then everyone's in that space and everyone is in that presence and awareness. But it's when you're sitting and listening to somebody. It's when you're walking down the street. It's when you're watching TV or playing your video games and all of a sudden realize that everything is rigid and held. And if you just sort of become a little more present to the sensation that's in you of movement and breath, then you have a different experience.
Traditionally, in terms of what I understood of the voice work, in terms of stage, is that you would begin to be conscious of where you were holding and where you were contracting, and then you would find ways to lengthen or undo unnecessary tension. And with finding the ease of this breath movement, that happens because there's the ease and the muscles say, oh, I'd like to participate in this easy way. So instead of, I have to undo my tongue tension, because when I have tongue tension, my voice sounds like this. If I begin to sense this ease of my musculature around the movement of the breath, then that muscle says, oh, I'd like to feel that. And so there's not the same amount of work, and there's patience involved in terms of inviting what's still not trusting the performing moment, or that I have to do something here and that means contraction. That every part of me wants to engage in being responsive rather than, I don't know if I trust this. Yeah.
And when you're in that, I don't know if I trust this, then you can't respond. Then you go into judgment. Then your mind has a really great opportunity to engage and watch you and tell you what's wrong and how do I get this right. And then again, you're out of the sensation of yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's I love it because you don't. There's no right way. There's just that journey that you continuously get to. And even if you're not in it, even if you can feel the constriction, you have a possibility of going, oh, what's happening here? I'm feeling really tight and held. Where's my breath? So it gets away from doubt and judgment and fear and getting it right, and I'm a bad person, and I don't, it's just all those things that we carry with us, whether we admit them or not, that there's just this, it's just way easier to be me.
Now, that being said, I do remember those times where I would be going down to Berkeley. There was quite a few sessions where I wanted to jump out of my skin, and because beginning to sense how much contraction there was in my body, and what was keeping me there is seeing you unfold more and more onto who you are, and I would think, okay, Gail, just stay with it. This is really uncomfortable. I want to run away. Think about Elisa. So I guess there's a few things I thank you for. It also allowed me to stick with it.
Which brings me to that place of accepting, that phrase that says accepting what is, that we are told through so many practices. Of the time that it's taken me, and I still am in the experience of learning what that is. For me, it's not about making myself better or it's really accepting what doesn't feel good as a part of who I am. It's like that we have these habits and forces and things in ourselves, and it's not about fixing them and making them not there, and making us perfect and right and this wonderful, allowed, moving, present person. But that there's also the acceptance of what those things are in us that we've needed, right? And that do hold and do push and do strive. And it's not so much getting rid of them, but accepting them as a part of ourselves. So that it's not about fixing, it's about there's more here, there's more to me than what's wrong. There's more to me than what's right. There's this possibility of this ongoing dialogue with myself about those things are not bad. Those things are also good. It's just that when they take me over, then I don't have any room for listening or responding or for my sensation of the movement that's here for me. You know, I lose my breath. So it's how do I have my breath in those things that aren't working so well? How do I have me? And how do I accept that, even though I don't want to?
Well, the breath is our truth. Right?
Yeah.
It's our truth. It's each one of us is unique. And we allow the breath, we allow the uniqueness of each one of us to come out and who we are, and who we really are, and not apologizing for who we are. This is it. And the more we allow, the more we are unique. And as a performer, that's what I tell my students. Your voice is totally unique. It may not be the most beautiful voice in the world, but it's the most unique voice because it's yours. And so, what's better than unique? Yeah, it's nobody else has it. Nobody else has that, and nobody else is you. Nobody else is you. We're all who we are.
So it leaves a lot of room for other people to be who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then things get easy.
Yes. Yeah, no apologies.
Yeah.
Just this is it.
Yeah. And you don't have to compare.
No.
And go, I want what they have. I like it. I want to find that in myself.
Yeah, because that's what we have all done. That's how we've all come here, is by searching for something that we wanted. But I think we're going back. I go back, being a child again. I think we all know we have this. So we're all going back to find it. Even the glitchy bits.
Even the glitchy bits. Yeah. Even the discomfort.
Yeah.
Even the stuff we don't want.
Yes.
And that's actually the amazing thing I see now with my students, is there's so much less judgment, so that they're not working so hard to get something right. They're actually curious about the process of what's happening right now. So there's a sense of time, right? They don't have to get it. There's a sense of, I have time to feel what's here. And actually, and then the bigger aspect is not only that, but what's easier that they start to find is the more I put my attention on someone else, or the more I listen to you, the more space I have to experience and feel and have emotion and sensations. So the more I get away from thinking about me and worrying about me, and the more I'm actually just listening, the more there is, the more as an actor or a person, the more humanity is here.
Yeah, and that relates so much to acting, because in acting we say you just have to stay out. And so what that means to most people is I have to stay out. I'm using every fiber of me to look like I'm listening to you. And so the theater happens, the acting moment happens between us. But if I'm tight and contracted, there isn't the responsiveness around it. And that I remember being in the first couple of sessions at Berkeley and listening and hearing these words that there was a me-ness and the I part of it, and developing your uniqueness as an individual. And I thought, that sounds really egotistical. And now I realize it's the development of me as an individual, so I can participate in the ensemble, so I can participate in the collective. And so when we all find that, as you said, Linda, in terms of our uniqueness, that then there's a possibility for us to change things.